Okay, Mr. Johnson, I think it's showtime.
We're ready? Okay. So everybody, we pulled up we got a poll. We're going to try doing some polling throughout this hour, and we got the first one is up. So hopefully everybody has put their answer in. But for all of you, this is Ethics for Engineers, Conundrums Posed by the COVID-19 Pandemic. So the purpose of the webinar is COVID-19's really put us in a different environment, out of our normal working environment. And, you know, we're all communicating with folks in a different fashion than we used to. We thought it would be constructive to consider as a professional community, have we inadvertently created any ethical situations? So our session today, we're going to focus on 3 topics: responsible charge, collaboration, and accountability.
Jim, if I can jump in with one thing before we get rolling, just to everybody take notice in the chat box, everybody is currently muted. If you would like to make a comment, join a discussion, ask a question, please just type that in the chat box. We will recognize you and unmute you so you can get involved in the discussion. So just put something in the chat box that says comment, question, something simple. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rusty. So I'm going to moderate the session and provide some slides that we can talk off of and discuss. Rusty just mentioned what he's going to be doing is facilitating the mechanics of everybody participating. Sandy is going to be monitoring the chat pods, and Matt is going to help with the polls. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 15 minutes for each topic, and then we'll try a 5-minute wrap up. And the topics again are responsible charge, collaboration, and accountability. So we'll go to the first responsible charge. So licensed professionals, both engineers and surveyors, must exercise appropriate supervision over the methods and the quality of design. Traditionally, the requirements expect regular and frequent in-person interaction between an engineer, licensed professional, and the multidisciplinary design team. So I'm going to hit 2 things. One is the Code of Ethics, and then the other is the Chapter 28 in the PE, just to have a frame of reference for this. So in the Code of Ethics, item number 2 is engineer shall perform services only in areas of his competence. And then the last item, B, is the last sentence: the engineer shall not affix his seal to any such document not prepared under his supervisory control and review. Then if we go into the definitions in the Professional Engineers Act in Delaware, number 27 identifies responsible charge. So I think everybody pretty much knows that. But one thing that I didn't know, and I've highlighted it in red, is the professional engineer maintains control over those decisions by the professional engineer's physical presence at the location where the engineering work is performed, or by electronic communication with the individual executing the engineering work. So I think in today's environment, we're really pushing the limits on electronic communication with individuals executing engineering work, because most cases, the folks executing the work are not physically with us. They are at their homes, they may be in their offices, but we're communicating electronically. The other thing, I think this is something that came out of Pennsylvania recently, but when you seal and stamp a drawing, in Delaware, licensees may use a seal, signature, and date that can be created or transmitted electronically. So let's roll up with the first poll question. Matt? Okay, the question is, do you think responsible charge can be adequately satisfied through virtual interactions only? So let's take a second and put down your answers.
And Jim, when you're ready, I can share the results of that.
Okay. Let's just give it about, what do you think, 30 seconds?
Yeah, we've got about 30 or so far. We're getting there.
Okay. I have no idea what everybody's going to say on this one.
Looks like we've about plateaued. So I'll end that and share the polling.
Wow. So 74% think we can do this through virtual interactions. That's good. Do you want to open it up to any discussion, Rusty? If anybody has any thoughts so far on this, why they answered yes, why they answered no?
Nobody has asked anything, but I guess my curiosity would be to those that answered no, what are you doing in this current situation?
Anybody responding up?
No one's offering anything, Jim, so maybe we should just go forward.
Okay, you want to roll to the second poll question?
Yep. There you go. So we're still getting some in here. We're starting to plateau a little bit. A couple more. We'll do a few more seconds. Go ahead and get your answers in. Okay, why don't I end that and share? So there you go.
Wow, so 68%, a majority believe that will be subject to new liabilities. Huh.
Does
So,
anybody want to comment on what those liabilities might be?
yeah. There's no comment. What do we got?
I have to say, I'm surprised by the bashfulness of this group. There are people on this list who are usually quite robust in sharing their thoughts.
There's a comment that says chat's disabled, which I don't understand. People are muted just so we cut out the background noise, but I mean, I've seen chat comments from Mindy. I've seen chat from a couple people, so I'm not sure why.
Me.
Okay, let's test something. I'm going to unmute all and see if that frees up chat.
And now the chat is available.
Oh, man.
Right, right, yep.
Listen to what they're talking about here. So.
I guess.
Okay, looks like
Everybody
chat's
can just
working.
mute themselves.
Please
Catch
just,
it.
yeah, just turn off your mics, folks.
If we
But
could,
that
and
seemed to work
especially
on the
if- I mean,
chat.
if
So
we-
thank you.
I don't know how slow. And if we're paying someone to do nothing, they could get started on this, from a standpoint just to show, because we can't do anything else, but we're showing we want to do the work. So, but okay. All right. All right. I'll get the EB number open. I had only ever opened the GA. I never actually opened the EB, so I'll get that set up today. So, but
So,
good. Okay.
Again, if folks are on your phones or whatever, could
I
you
am
please
sick of it, that's for sure.
mute your speakers, mute your mics on your computers? Thank you.
so I mean, are there any comments or any discussion? Nobody's got anything to say on this?
Charles O'Donnell had a comment on poll question 1. Zoom and GoToMeetings have been productive, almost more productive than face-to-face meetings.
So,
Does Charlie want to weigh in on that a little bit more? Charlie, if you want to just unmute yourself and comment further on that.
Yeah, I've just found the Zoom meetings and the GoTo meetings to be productive. You don't get into a whole lot of sidebar discussions. You're pretty straightforward, and I've been able thus far to review plans, specifications without much problem.
Has anybody in the group actually signed or sealed any plans over the past month while this is going on, or do people mostly have their projects still in some phase that don't require the signing?
I signed some plans.
A comment from Jim Pappas that they electronically sign and seal plans all the time.
Yeah, me too. I sign all the plans electronically.
Let me ask you this, for anybody, for the folks that are at Del Dot, do they have any concerns during this, with this, what's going on right now with a lot of remote work being done? Do you have any concerns that the plans and stuff are going to be adequate compared to before COVID-19? And I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Alan? There we go. Alan, you want to go ahead?
Am I on now?
You're
Yeah.
unmuted.
Yeah, I've signed some things over the last month, but it's not really been different from what we had normally been doing anyway. People do stuff remotely, send stuff in to be reviewed and coordinate it with everybody else. So it really hasn't been much of a difference. I haven't seen.
Thanks, Alan. Do you want to move on to the next topic?
Sure.
So this goes towards like collaboration. Both design and construction projects are increasingly complex and require multiple multidisciplinary members, sometimes across multiple companies and agencies. In-person collaboration can often resolve issues and produce time and money-saving solutions. So you want to pop up the first poll for this? So will project owners and the public have confidence that our design or project solutions are as robust in this environment as they would be in the traditional framework?
No, yeah, they don't care.
They didn't know how the world works, let alone how to get there. And that'd be the same way.
We're just going to virtual. We've been doing virtual workshops, but they're going to do the WebEx comment they want to during the WebEx. But then people are not going to know how to use it unless people become savvy just because of that. But I thought that was good. I was like, if we could do that more, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, try to increase transparency.
Yeah, just WebEx.
So Matt, how are we doing on the poll?
It's like we're plateauing off now. We still got some people who are apparently engaging in some business in their office and aren't muted. If you could be respectful and go ahead and mute your phone so others can hear, that'd be great. So I'll end the poll and share it here. Yep.
Okay. So really, basically, most people feel that there's really not much difference in before COVID-19 to now on our projects and our designs and how we responsible charge, all that. Then everybody feels that there's no difference or not much. Is that what I'm seeing from this?
Yeah, one comment in the chat box says that they believe project owners will certainly question the time billed.
Okay. Kate
has a comment as well if you want to bring her in.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I just had a couple of comments back to the beginning. I think, because I work for a city, so a lot of our design work is like retrofitting projects. So it slows down right now the ability to go out in the field if we need to meet out with field crew to verify some things. You know, and as the person stamping a design, we want to make sure we're verifying things in the field, and that might slow down being able to get personnel out in the field that are, you know, assigned to more critical tasks at the time. And as far as construction, another thing, it kind of depends on, in a construction phase, if you need to get eyes on something or not. A question might come up in the construction phase about your design project that you might need to get eyes on. And if you can't, or if you don't have the technology to be able to view it from your desktop, that could definitely be an issue. And the last question, I don't think the public necessarily will have any concerns, because right now, I don't think the public ask a lot of questions about projects in the design phase and in the construction phase. But I think me as an owner, I would definitely have questions to a design team that we'd be pulling in. How do you know this is what you're finding? Are you going out in the field? Someone brought up a great point about how much time they're actually working on the project. If you're not able to have meetings for whatever reason, that would be a hard thing to track. But yeah, just verifying that what they're putting on paper is what they're actually finding in the field, or how are they, like, what are their methods?
Okay.
Yeah, Jim, there was a comment from Matt Galinas also. Increase in virtual meetings may be seen as a cost time savings, since there can be significant savings in travel time to an in-person meeting.
Okay. Let me throw up this example or this potential case. So you got a multidisciplinary team consisting of an owner, and this could be, it doesn't have to necessarily be a state DOT, it could be a municipality, a design builder, and their engineer. And they're engaged in a high-profile project that commenced before the COVID-19 outbreak. Prior to the outbreak, the project was progressing well. About 50% of the design was complete, and some limited construction had begun. Because of social distancing practices and stay-in-place orders, schedule and budget has begun to erode. The owner is facing significant shortfalls in revenues because of COVID-19 impacts and has limited ability to cover cost growth. So I think we had a poll question on this one, and then maybe we can get some discussion from the various people representing each stakeholder.
Poll should be open. There we go. You still got a few coming in, Jim.
Okay.
Give it a few seconds here. We're at about 75% of our participants. In each of these polls, we've got a good 8 or 10 people who weren't participating in the polls. So,
well, hopefully they are present, because that wouldn't be ethical to go for this course.
Well, and they're usually not a shy group, so I'll go ahead and end that and share it with you.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So it's split. Oh, it's actually more than that. There's So anybody that answered yes, what potential ethical situation do you believe could exist?
Go ahead, Karen.
I think that's Kate.
Kate, sorry, go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, I just think like from a safety perspective, if you have, if this project is in the middle of happening and you have a contractor working on it, you know that there's safety issues that have come up, the social distancing practices. Are you going to make sure that you want to get this project, you want to keep this project going, so are you going to make sure that the contractor is practicing social distancing properly? Or are you going to, look the other way because you want to get this project done? Things like that. Are you making sure that, the governor's different updates are being practiced by the contractor that's on the site? Or you just want to, I think that would be a big ethical question. How far you're willing to go? Are you going to tell them to leave the site if they're not practicing social distancing, things like that?
What happens if the engineer on the design build team actually was during negotiations with the design builder ended up had to cut his fee to a point that they just figured they would just live with it, and now there appears to be a potential for recapturing some of that fee that they lost in negotiations? Is that a possible situation that it could occur? And even from that, what about the design builder who may have left money on the table through the competition and now needs more money? What could the design builder use this as an opportunity to secure additional funds? Any thoughts on that?
In the chat box.
While you wait, Jim, I might suggest, in relation to what Kate was talking about, I don't know who Dad Desktop is, but he said some of us are still going outside. It might be interesting to ask, presumably him, to weigh in on what the experience has been with social distancing with outside activities.
I think that's fine, Matt. So if that individual wanted to throw in their 2 cents, that'd be great. Gosh, nobody wants to say anything.
Well, he did way back in and say my business performs many septic designs. So, maybe implying that, that the nature of that kind of work tends to be a limited team. Oh, coming in more. So it says my business performs many septic designs, and these septic designs require septic inspections for project closeout. So, it's a couple of things that I'm hearing from that. That's not work that can be done virtually. You've got to go to the site. You're probably, if not, a single individual, then a pretty limited team. So there's some potential to practice for good practices there.
We have a question from Bob Wright. Let me see. I'll make sure I get it. Oh boy. I lost it. Okay. Contract provisions remain. Hold on, I'm sorry, it's scrolling too quickly. There's a couple people making comments.
Does contract provisions remain in place despite the COVID outbreak? Does the contract have an act of God provision?
Force majeure.
Yeah. Rusty, you're muted. Unmute.
Sorry.
Sorry. You gonna catch us up on the chat?
Yep. Jim Pappas comment, the department has many staff still have to be out for inspections, field measurements, etc. Chris Baker visited several jobs over the past 4 weeks. Try to maintain 6 feet or more distance when possible. Other times, more recent, wear a neck gaiter or be courteous of others' health. If schedule is delayed, question from D. Faust. If the schedule is delayed, will owner allow for an extension? And a couple of comments from Jim Pappas. We're ensuring staff practice social distancing with others around. We've worked with the contracting community to ensure they're following same policies. The department is approving time extensions when warranted, but we are not compensating for delays at this time.
So is it everybody's feeling that even during this time, collaboration and all that is still ongoing on projects, even though it's got some different ways to collaborate, but everybody feels that is still going on?
Yeah, folks are saying yes, Jim.
Okay. Anybody have anything that they really want to bring up on collaboration? We'd love to hear it. Somebody can unmute and offer some thoughts. Okay. Man, Matt, this is awful. This is awful quiet.
Maybe everybody's eating their lunch.
Yeah.
This is John Falkowski, if you can hear.
There you go.
Hey.
Hey,
we,
I'll be the one to speak
oh,
up.
go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, I mean, everyone's right. The show must go on. And I think all the firms, contractors, engineers, agencies, we've all been coordinating, albeit virtual now instead of in person as we prefer, but things are being coordinated and everyone is continuing to work. A lot of the agencies, some, not all, but they're doing virtual commission hearings and pre-application meetings to keep projects going. There are a few firms that are not firms, a few agencies we're seeing that are not, and that is causing project delays, more in the design than construction. But that is something we're seeing. It's not a statewide, everyone's business as usual. It's limited. So projects are continuing in areas that have gone virtual, and they're at a halt or standstill in municipalities and things that are not. So it's the only comment.
Thanks. Okay. How about if we move on to the next one? And this is more on the accountability end. I think project owners expect that their own professionals and those of their consultants and subcontractors will faithfully be engaged in their projects so that they will only be charged for those efforts that advance the goals of their project. Recognizing that a trust issue is always an element, physical separation could raise new concerns for project owners and the consultant community. So I think we had a poll question to try that.
Stand by. Should see it now.
So will new forms of accountability be needed to satisfy project owners that the time charged is appropriate for their design needs during this period of time?
Pretty fast on this one, Jim, and there's a strong sentiment towards no. Be interesting to hear from people to comment on. Apparently, they feel that we've already got sufficient accountability situations in place. It'd be interesting to hear some examples of those.
Anybody like to chime in?
Sure. This is Kate Mills from the city of Dover. I think there's already, before the COVID-19 issue came up, there's always been kind of a trust with the consultant that I'm kind of going back on what I said earlier, thinking about it more. There's always been a trust there with the consultant that we're hiring, that when we get an invoice or we get a 50% design back from a consultant, that the time that they're putting into it is accurate. I mean, we can check tolls and things like that if they actually came down to visit us or not, but those are pretty easy checks, so that wouldn't be happening. So I don't really see there being a big change. And like people have said, and what we all seem to be utilizing now with Zoom meetings, we can still have that update meeting with a consultant to see their progress. So I don't really see that is a change, because we've always had a trust that what the consultant is telling us is what is happening.
Okay. Rusty, anything on the chats or?
You're muted, Rusty.
Sorry. I think the answer is more of a maybe than a no. Some people, PM should ensure that COVID safety practice costs are charged separately from the job itself, maybe charged to the client as approved to do so, or itemized as overhead company cost, which may be eventually compensated by others. Clients are kept up to speed on progress made. If there's a question pertaining to time billed inappropriately, billing backup can be provided with commentary. Expectations and deliverables are the same. The only change is presentation of these, possibly many submissions, et cetera, are already be done electronically and somewhat remotely.
Okay. Let me throw up two examples. Joe finishes his, and Joe's working at home. So Joe finishes work ahead of schedule, does it in about 4 hours. He does his personal work around the house. He remains by the phone to the office and charges 8 hours to the project he was assigned to. Over the course of a month, Joe charges 120 hours to the project, but really only worked 80 hours of the time he charged. And then the second one is, Sally is a hands-on manager. She periodically spot checks her team by phoning them at home to see if they are in, and keeps an ongoing log of their connect time as they're connected into maybe the servers at the main office or however. So we got two different situations, and just curious, I think we've got 2 poll questions. So the first one involves the first case.
All right, I'll put it up. Stand by. There you go. Coming in pretty quickly there. We should be ready here in just a few seconds. All right. Go ahead and close that out and share.
Okay. So yeah, I got a follow-up question then. If Joe wasn't acting ethically when working from home, 1, how do you know it? And 2, what does people have in place to make sure that that isn't happening?
Yeah, a couple comments from the chat box. It's the job of the manager to discount the time that's being charged for Joe's time. And from Bob Wright, Joe could have easily done the same when he was in the office. Accountability, appropriate time charging, etc. should be the same no matter where Joe is working.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because in the office, you physically can see the people. You physically are there. I mean, so I'm wondering if I guess maybe some people don't think that there is a difference whether someone's in the office or not. Is that? And what happens if Joe's concerned that he may be laid off or have some other situation with the company he's working for, and he thinks that if he's showing he's highly utilized, that he'll keep his job? Or what happens if somebody's supervisor is pushing everybody to be highly utilized so the cash will keep on coming into the company and be able to pay bills during this period? Not that would happen in today's environment.
I have a couple comments in the chat box. Hope that Joe is being honest and submitting his timesheets, and PM should know how long it takes and should have already assigned the time to the task.
Okay.
And Jim, you know, there were a couple of people in that poll who said yes. So I don't know whether they were just being contrarians, but if in fact they think that Joe was being ethical, it might be interesting to ask them to weigh in why they thought that kind of behavior was ethical. They might have a different spin on that. They've got a little bit of a comment on that.
Yeah, some more comments in the box. Joe could be working on other things in the office and appear to be busy, so it might be difficult to tell what he's working on as long as he appears to be busy. Never worked for or been a consultant charging my time by the hour. Is it customary to have on-call rate, presuming less than the working rate? Possibility, another answer, apply for federal PPP funding to allay fears of layoffs, use special COVID timesheet codes. Only reason this could be ethical is Joe is not hourly, the project is fixed fee, and the time spent on call could be charged appropriately per the contract. You know, very valid comments regarding pushing employees for utilization during these times, certainly unethical.
Good. We're going to drop down to the question for Sally.
All right, give me a second. There you go. So they're coming in pretty fast, so just give it a few more seconds here and to about 75 or so %. And all right, looks, give it just another couple seconds here, but it looks like we're kind of got what we're going to get. I'll share that. There you go.
Wow.
You see that, Jim?
Yeah, I do. I'm just trying to where to go next. Yeah, because I actually did questionable, and I think it was, if what I'm trying to figure out is if so it's ethical for her to, does she trust the people that she supervises? I guess that's the question I have.
Couple comments in the chat box. Micromanaging style of management, but does not seem unethical. It's an issue of trust. And then a comment from Jim Papp is trust but verify.
Well, assuming I'm not trampling over my bounds as one of the hosts, I'll weigh in and say that, you know, I think I can see why different spins on this, because this is one of those, you know, sort of pick C, you need more information. You know, one of the things is, it seems to me that as professionals, and we have people working under our responsible charge, it's only natural that as we work with those people, we learn what their capabilities and work ethic is and the quality of their work. And, you know, when they first start working for us, we probably check every calculation and every method. But over time, perhaps we do more spot checks or check the most critical parts or something like that. I think that's understandable as we learn the competencies of those in our responsible charge. So if that's what Sally's doing because she's got sort of a mature team, I could see where folks would say, yeah, that's probably appropriate. So I think it's one of those weaselly, it depends. But I definitely think you'd need to know more about Sally and her team.
A couple other comments. Depends on staff capabilities and exactly what issues may occur when working from home.
So for the most part, during this, during the COVID-19 era, do people feel better with the products they're producing or concerned with the products producing? And how hard has it been to manage people remotely? So it's two general questions.
Jim, a couple of comments that go back before you made that point. From Mark Russo, heard some stories. Someone actually posted on social media they were working another job while they should have been working.
Yeah.
They give people an inch and they'll take a mile. And then from Bob Wright, if Sally's concerned, would it be appropriate for her to give Joey specific budget of hours that'll be needed for his tasks?
Yeah, I think providing people that are working away, and even when you're sitting and you can see them, it's probably good to provide people with, hey, you've got X amount of hours to do a particular project, or this deliverable is due X when. I mean, some form of bounds or limits or ideas, as opposed to say, hey, just do it whenever you get finished, just tell me.
Yeah, comment from Chris Baker, saving a lot of travel time for meetings, so personally getting more done in less time. And from Alan, definitely takes more time to manage remotely, especially if you need collaboration on an issue that could have been addressed with a quick discussion in the office.
Okay.
And another one, seeing daily deliverables and client email staff responses as a way to monitor.
Can I I'm moving around a little bit, but with all of us doing remote activities now, and mostly the meetings that are remote, how many owners believe that they will change their practice and will resort more to Zoom type meetings, Teams meetings, as whatever, to maybe cut down expenses? And on the consultant side, is it a better use of your time? Because now you can address more things than spending a period of time traveling to a meeting and things like that. So do you think this situation is going to change the way we do business in 6 months from now, when we don't have to social distance and things like that, hopefully?
Comments include, expects efficiencies to come from this situation. We'll definitely use virtual meetings more moving forward. There are plenty of times when face-to-face is necessary and better. That's from Shante at DelDot. Miss the social interaction. It's only human. Okay to remote for most meetings. However, the initial kickoff meetings are where face-to-face is better. More efficient to have meetings that are not location dependent. This will be good, but there'll still be field and site visits. They'll be pretty much require on-site face-to-face. Managing people, been easier than expected. Collaboration technology has made it pretty easy to communicate. Scrolling fast here, sorry. It was important to set expectations early on, but once things settled down, we found some benefits. There were also several comments related that most firms aren't worried about when the work gets done, that if the work gets done, because folks that are home managing children, et cetera, they're doing more at nights and weekends. Think it depends on the people involved. Stakeholders should be in person, but maybe odor designer could be Zoom. A lot of firms are already set up well on digital and work sharing platforms, so the transition has not been drastic or difficult. And as long as virtual meetings stay productive, they're beneficial for our consultants.
And, you know, Chris Baker also did a con to his earlier pro and talked about, which I think was sort of mentioning, or Shante maybe, you know, again, you know, going forward, that going forward, you know, we should recognize that there's some meetings where that in person, you get a lot more complete information from that person to person situation.
So let me ask this, for owners, are there any concerns moving forward? And then I think I'll flip it and ask for consultants and contractors, are there any concerns moving forward? Let's go with owners.
I guess, what do you mean by concerns?
If there's something that you don't think is working well, that could be a concern. Are you concerned that budgets will be different? And how's that gonna be impacting moving forward, those types of things? Does that make sense?
Well, I guess you're saying while we're still in this COVID-19 situation moving forward, not after.
Yeah. So I'm saying there's probably some concerns that come out of this situation moving forward. And do you have any?
Couple comments in the chat box from Jim Pappas at Hiring can be hard, virtual interviews, and also the comment that economy is a huge concern.
Okay. On the consultant side, are there any concerns moving forward? Has this situation raised any concerns? Has this situation shown any things that maybe you can do business a little bit differently?
Comments in the chat on training new staff can be difficult and need to get everyone back to work.
In the short term, I mean, our experience as a consultant, working with some agencies, there's been a few hiccups with public hearings that have been hosted virtually. Public notices have been sent out with Zoom links and things like that. It's kind of a big change. Some people have a lot of technological issues trying to get on. Just the other night, I had a Board of Adjustment hearing with Kent County, and the numbers that were sent out were not correct. The video and the audio were spotty, on and off. Almost missed the point of the meeting where I had to present for the client. So those kind of things are the immediate concerns. And in the future, I think looking forward, if this doesn't get back to normal here soon, I mean, we will be seeing a lot more people finding the efficiencies in Zoom meetings as opposed to face-to-face. But I mean, for relationships and other matters, I mean, never underestimate the power of a face-to-face meeting.
Do you think companies will start utilizing remote working and teleworking, things like, will they be using that more?
My firm has. I'm with Becker Morgan.
Yeah.
Moving towards more of a virtual format, getting everybody on VPNs. I don't think we bought a desktop computer in a couple years. You know, moving everyone to laptops. Really been preparing. There's kind of a change in the landscape of the younger people hired out of school.
Yeah.
They don't want to work in Dover or Salisbury, Maryland. They want to live up north, or they want to live in the city, and the commute is big on them. They might do it for a short period of time, but after 6-8 months, they're tired of the commute and they look elsewhere or want to work remotely or in a different office. So we've been moving that way, and I think a lot of firms are, just to give people the flexibility, and it helps with recruiting talent as well. So.
Okay.
A few comments in the chat box, Jim. Clients are not always tech savvy, particularly in Delaware, the Amish community. Having people, from Bob Wright, having people in the office helps with collaboration, mentoring, and project development design, as well as discussions. Virtual methods work, but I prefer in person. Different is okay for now, but trust can erode. Long distance is the next best thing to being there. That'd be a great slogan for a phone company. Many consultant firms are already doing this already. Work involves traffic studies, which cannot be done now. Savings from overhead cost. Considering some individual works 1 to 2 days remotely, some staff are working more hours remotely than in the office. Depends on the staff's work ethics. So.
And Jim, you're about 5 minutes out.
Okay. So I had one other question. It's for Matt and Rusty. The new grads that are getting ready to depart the university, how are they taking this?
This, I will speak for a lot of the students. This has been the most stressful period of their lives. Not only have they transitioned anywhere from 4 to 5 classes into an immediate online over a 2-week notice. You have professors teaching in different manners. They've had to complete their senior design project from a total remote and distance operating, which for those of you that aren't familiar with UD senior design, it's a pretty big project. Those demonstrations and their final presentations will be online next week. They're still working out some of the details, but that is typically a 500 to 600 page document that they assemble, and all of that's being done through Zoom and other means. They're not allowed to work together. Many of them are having jobs postponed that had offer letters in hand. Many of the internships this summer are all on hold because they don't know how they'll be supervised or trained. This is extreme. This is about as big as it gets, not counting the fact that there's no graduation ceremony and none of those things that are typical for the end of your college career.
Wow. Wow. So if anybody on the both on the owner side or the consultant side have got new grads that you've got, I hope you can keep hiring the folks and bringing them on to your firms, because it's really important, I think, to keep the lifeblood of an organization going. And so I hope everybody can continue to keep on hiring folks as we move forward. I think we got a couple more minutes wrapping up. Matt, do you have any thoughts or wrap up? I'm going to delegate.
One thing that I know I think we skipped over when we were reading some things that jumped out to me, and it goes to that thing of, we all think of different things. I think it was Chris Baker mentioned something about when we were back talking about, how to deal with things where we want to be on site, et cetera. And he mentioned the use of a drone where, again, you could put a drone up and maybe show that feed live where people could say, I need a closer look at this or type of thing. It goes back to what I think a number of people have commented on is imagine if we had been faced with this even 5, 7, 10 years ago, the difference that we have in hand with technology now on so many different levels, we're so much fortunate than we would have been just a few years ago. Somebody put in here a minute ago, have faith, things are going to get better. I would agree, and we should certainly end on a note like that. I mean, we're going to come out of this and things are going to be better, and we'll probably come out of it better prepared for a next round or a next thing like this. There's a lot of lessons learned, but I think, there's so much that technology has helped us and will help us. And I think, again, to Chris's comment of being, creative in how we can use those things in ways that maybe we never thought about before.
So I'd like to say that this has been an experience for me to try to do an ethics course in an hour online. When I'm usually doing these, it's much better for me when you have face-to-face interaction and you can see people, expressions, and there's a little more collaboration in a physical setting. I know we've tried to do the best we could. I think it's been pretty good, but it's been different for me. I hope everybody has gained a little something from this on responsible charge, collaboration, and accountability. And hopefully everybody will continue to act ethically and both within their company or at an owner, or that they continue to do that. So Rusty, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing, just thank you all. I mean, the idea for this came from somebody on our mailing list. So if you've got other ideas for these, we are happy to hear them.
Also, real quick before we let you go, you know, again, some folks will be in phone numbers or a sort of a weird name for your screen. You could, if it's obvious who you are, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But if in doubt, if you want to drop Sandy Wolf an email in the next day or so to help her with PDH certificates, we want to make sure that everybody gets them that was on the call and participated. So thank you.
Thanks everybody for the chats and the comments and the input. It's been really good.
Good job, Jim. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.